Everyone. I'll wait in a few minutes to see if anybody comes on here. I came on here a little early. I'm usually on here extremely late. Made some new candles tonight. Or yesterday, should I say. I've had several emails come in asking questions. And so I'm going to try to get to several of them in this video, which is why I named it what I did. Okay. The first question was, do I believe... Hi, Carla. I caught you. I'm on early enough. The first question was, do I believe that you can curse somebody just by saying a word, like, I wish you were dead, something like that. Now, there was a time when people believed that, yes, that would come out, and I'm not sure if that was just something they had in their own heads or if it was because of all the superstitions and everything that came along with Christianity, or the transition from the pantheons to Christianity. I'm not really sure exactly when it occurred, but no, I don't think just by, because we say a lot of things that, thank goodness, they don't happen, right? I mean, things we don't really mean. Maybe if you get mad at somebody, you may say something really hateful. Well, you don't really mean that. You're just mad at the time. Because if these really did happen all the time, then this world would really be in trouble, wouldn't it? There'd be a lot of people dropping off like flies. Now, there's a difference when you just sit there and say it out of mad and then you forget it. It's done, over with. Then you go back and say, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. Now, as a witch, I would say that you probably need to be careful. In other words, use the old adage, think before you speak. Because once that comes out of your mouth, it's no longer a thought process, it's in motion, if you're a pretty good and powerful witch. So you really need to watch what you say, especially if you don't mean it. And this is also why I always stress curses and hexes. Now, I'm not saying I don't believe in them, and I am by far not above doing one, because I have. But it's only in extreme circumstances. If my boyfriend cheats on me and blah, 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 I'm not going to wish him dead, for that reason. That's just not reason enough for me. I've said before in my earlier videos, now if, a man rapes or kills one of my kids or my grandkids, or, something to that effect, yeah, I'm sorry about his luck. But I still think that you need to be careful. Now, normal, average, everyday person, it's just words. But words can be deadly, as far as witches go. The only thing I can say about that is that words can have power. Yeah, they can. And like I said, even as a normal everyday person, I mean, the right entity or the right wind could catch it. And you don't know what's out in them ethers, what's hanging around you all the time. And when you say stuff like that, you don't know if it's going to be carried out or not. And if you're a witch and you're used to putting that out, and the ethers are used to hearing commands from you, it's probably going to happen. So unless you really, really mean it without a shadow of a doubt, that you want that to occur. Same as I say when you're hexing or cursing someone, you better make good and sure that that's exactly what you want to happen. Because if it does, if and when it does, then you're going to have to be the one to deal with the repercussions of it, whether you feel guilty, sad, whatever it may be. I think it's best just, I use the old adage, you just, if you can't say nothing nice, don't say anything at all. But that's what this video is about. There are a lot of these sayings, and the way we believe nowadays, even in witchcraft, came from the old ways. Like for instance, the issue that people would say that when you sneezed, the reason that people would say bless you is because they thought that in that split second your soul left your body and returned. So it while your soul was out of your body, if nobody blessed you, then you could be possessed. So I mean, a lot of it is. I mean, I could go on for hours about what the old timers thought, and some of them still believe to this day. And I think a lot of people, when you hear somebody sneeze, they're so used to saying "bless you," they don't even know what they're saying it for. It's just habit to say it, or they've heard their parents say it, and so on. My husband told his mother that she was going to have something bad happen to her for the way she treated him. She left the house in a car accident that left her. Yeah. Well, see, I would look at that as karma. I mean, you can only be hateful and rude and terrible to people for so long before karma gets your number. Now, as witches, we have the ability to hurry up karma, as I should put it. Like, you see all them things floating around the internet. I don't wait on karma. I am karma, and has a picture of a witch. I mean, I try to be really careful. Some would say he hacks. Yeah, some would. And in the Quaker times, with the Pilgrims and all that, he probably would have been burned at the stake if anybody else would have heard him say that and then seen what had happened to her. You know what I'm saying? That's and it all comes down. Of course, I'm a witch, so of course I'm going to believe in things that other people don't believe in. Some people may have just written it off as coincidence. You know, um, and to this day they do. Some believe in witchcraft, some don't. You know, that's neither here nor there. You know, everybody can make up their own mind how to believe how they want. So, but there is a lot of them, so many that I couldn't even think of them all to write down. I just kind of gave you an example there. Or people might say, "You move like a slug." Now, would that be intentionally cursing someone, or are you just using a simile or a metaphor? Because you say, "You move like a slug." Does that mean poof, that person's instantly going to turn into a slug? You don't believe in coincidence? Yeah. Well, and the thing is, when we're mad or hurt, whether we really mean what we're saying, we do at the time because it's a feeling, it's an emotion popping out. So, yeah, at the time, those words are probably very strong, and they could very easily come to fruition, in one form or the other. Um, that's why I say, people just kind of need to be careful what they say. And especially if they practice witchcraft or are full-blown witches, because, well, it could not be good. And even though you didn't mean it, you were just mad or hurt or upset, um, it could happen, and then you can't take it back. So, but yeah, if somebody says you move like a slug, do you think somebody's going to poof turn into a slug? Well, they would have in the older days. That's the difference between here then and now, you know. But a lot of the superstitions and all that have carried on. And even if you're not a witch, it's still there. People, that's what I always say. People use witchcraft in their everyday life. They're not witches. It might even hate witches or be completely against us. But they say and do the same things we do. They just don't call it the same thing. If you say bless you to somebody, who are you to bless someone? You know what I mean? You see what I'm trying to get at? Um, it's just a habit, and it's things that us as a new society have gotten used to. It's become part of the norm. Um, so, I mean, there's a lot of them that you can come up with. This is just a couple that I kind of, and it would be fun just to go through and think, and every day, you know, like tomorrow when you get up, see how many of these little metaphors that and coincidences that you hear every day, even on the news, that came from all the old times, the old ways. It's pretty neat, and I catch them because I'm so in tune with this type of reality with witchcraft and all of this. So I catch it. People that know me well know that if I say it, I mean it. Yeah, well, I can't. Usually I do, and I might even at the time, because I have a pretty quick temper. But that doesn't mean that I actually want it, you know, want anything horrible to happen to them. Which is why I don't argue with people. I'm way too honest when I'm angry. Now I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say it, you know, what I think, but and how I'm judging the situation. But I'm really careful about going, I wish you were dead. You know, I just don't do that. I don't do that. Um, and you remember, I don't know if your grandparents did it, but my grandma used to. Uh, I forget what I'd be doing. Oh, like crossing your eyes. And she would say, if you don't quit doing that, they're going to stick that way. Then what are you going to do? It's like, Grandma, you just cursed me and didn't even know it. Yeah, I do too, Carla. I have to really be careful because when I get mad, there's no telling what's going to come out of my mouth. And even if I mean it, it probably shouldn't have been put quite so harshly. But I'm one of those people that I'll take shit till I'm fed up with it, and then I kind of explode. So, but I mean, it's really interesting to look at these, like, and even the ancient Greeks and some of the Romans, even, um, especially, you know, because the English language alone came from Latin. This is why our doctors, when they write a script, it's in Latin. You know, a lot, every one of the diseases, conditions in the medical books are derived and originated in Latin. That's why they're this long. And we take medical terminology so we can break the word down, because each section of the word means something different. Once you learn that, you can tell automatically right then and there what that means, what that whole entire big ass long word means, and put it in way more simple terms. But like uh, Tantalus. He was, I'm not going to go into the whole myth, but he was somebody that pissed off one of the gods or goddesses, and he was cursed by, he couldn't eat food. He was, and this ain't the first uh, story about the gods or goddesses starving someone. There's several in there, but Tantalus is one of them. And they would, he wasn't allowed to eat or drink anything. So, and eventually he got so hungry that he started eating himself, literally, until he just was no more. But the word we use, tantalize, like teasing someone, because, there would be things put in front of him that he couldn't eat, that he couldn't touch, that he couldn't drink. And I know there's another exact similar story, and there's several of them, but the one I'm talking about right now is Tantalus. You can look it up. Um, and then it became known as tantalizing. If you're on a diet and you can't eat that cheesecake, and I use this because that's what I'm going through right now. I've gained way too much weight, and I don't need no more cheesecake. But if somebody is waving that piece of cheesecake in front of my face, they're tantalizing me. A druggie that's trying to get better. If you hold a baggie of cocaine in front of them or whatever their choice of drug is, and you do like this, oh, don't you wish you could have it? That's tantalizing. Well, that's what these gods and goddesses did to Tantalus, hence the name, and it derived from to tantalize. Just like Arachne, that was her name. She wasn't a goddess at the time, but everybody knows the story of Arachne. And, well, I assume most people do, but she, weaved the loom or worked on the loom and weaved the webs that the goddess loved, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, she ended up pissing off the goddess, and she was turned into a spider. But she still weaves her webs, and that's where we get arachnophobia. Anything that you nowadays hear about spiders, it has arachne in it. Arachnophobia, arachnologist, all of them. And also, something that a lot of people don't know, also included in an arachnologist that also studies mites, ticks, and scorpions. And most people, when they hear that, they just think spider, the spider realm. But they do actually study them other ones. Anyway, I think it's really neat that we still have and use these ancient terms and terminologies in our modern day world. And I don't think they'll ever go away. We're just used to it, and that's the way our society has done it. But it's really interesting. If you go and keep studying this stuff on your own, you'll see what I'm talking about. There's so many similarities, and even the names of the ancient Greeks that weren't gods and goddesses, that things were named after, that we still call, and we don't even know why. It's like, where'd that word come from? Look up the origin of the word, and you'd be surprised what you find. And now that a lot of people are on quarantine, I think a lot of it's lifting up. It'd be a fun time, something fun to do while you're just sitting around bored, cheesecake. Yeah, Carla, I think everybody's mom or grandmother or would always say stuff like that. You're going to stick like that. Or, when they say, like, say you call into work sick and you're not really sick, Some people believe that you're going to get sick just because you said it out loud and you cursed yourself. So, I mean, it is what it is. People, I just think it's a very neat coincidence. But there's all kinds of them. I mean, I could go on for hours about it. And if you think back, especially like I said, your grandparents, even something your mother might have said, um, that some people would have thought they were cursing you. So it's like, Grandma, don't tell me my eyes are going to cross like that. They'll do it now just because you said that. Or we'll say something like, I don't like to use never. It's just I try not to even have it in my vocabulary because it's a very negative word. And I also am very superstitious about it. Like if you say I blank broken a bone or have broken a bone, poof, next day. I'll tell you what happened to me and why. Because on a Friday night, I used to be a twirler one year, or I actually was a twirler for a couple of years, but I switched back and forth from twirler to cheerleader in school. This year I was a twirler, and on Friday night at the football game, you know how the twirlers and the cheerleaders go to the other team, do a routine or cheer for them, and then you meet them, and then you bring them to your side, and they do blah blah blah. Okay, well, one of the twirlers was on crutches, and she had I don't remember what she had done now, but really messed up one of her legs. She either broke her ankle or dislocated her kneecap. She broke something because of what I remember, because of what I said. She said, I said, "Oh, I'm so glad I blank broken a bone or anything like that," and just went on about my business. The very next Tuesday, I shit thou not, we were in basketball practice and I dislocated my shoulder. So guess what happened the next Friday night at the next football game? I had a sling and couldn't twirl. So that right there, I was like, oh, I ain't saying that word ever again. And you can believe it if you want, or you say coincidence, however you want to perceive it. But I mean, if you think about it, yeah, it's a lot of it rings true. Okay, I'll get off that. That'll give y'all something to uh, uh, study on and something to do. Uh, what else do I have down here to talk about? Do y'all believe? Okay, answered that. I have necromancy down here because somebody asked me if I practice necromancy. I guess it depends on what you can. I guess I do. I guess every witch in one form or another does. Anytime we converse with spirits, and most of us do, you're conversing with the dead. I don't necessarily um, talk to or do anything with people that were actually people that walked the earth, but I have, I will talk to my dad or call on my dad or my grandmother. Um, I remember when I was a little girl, um, I had an older sister that died before me, and I always wonder what she looked like and blah blah. I think I've kind of told y'all about this before, but I used to try to call on her, just so I could have my older sister around, because then I was the eldest and I was the one getting all the shit. So anyway, I guess in a lot of forms, most witches do use necromancy in some shape or form. Now, am I going to be like Frankenstein, go out there and dig up a body and try to bring it back to life? Probably not, because I actually, I know that that can't happen, especially, excuse me, especially after they've been embalmed. And why would you even want to? Why would you want to put them? They're probably glad to be out of that, meat sack. Why would you want to, put their consciousness back in there and trap them again? I would be pretty upset with somebody if they did that to me. If you want to call on me through the ether. Don't throw me back in this thing. Yes, yes, I do, Carla. But it's not to do work for me. Now, I have been known to ask my grandma for guidance, but it's kind of hard dealing with her because my grandmother was a devout Christian. And I guess now she knows the truth, whatever it is. Um, I don't see her very often. I see my dad more than I do her. Um, and a lot of times it's just to talk, just to feel that comfort of them being around. Your grandma going to slap you from the other side of you. Yeah, I know it. Now you sound like one of my aunts. They'll see me put something up on Facebook and they'll go, "Your grandma's going to get you for that." But yeah, no, I don't actually. Um, I talk to spirits if they usually they approach me first. I don't. I'm not in the habit of calling on just total strangers. I have been known to go to a graveyard and enlist help from someone. Hi, Lady Blind Wolf, but I haven't even done that very much. I mean, I don't. I just don't mess with the dead if I don't have to, unless I'm just chatting with them. Because, a lot of people believe that they can get questions answered from them and they don't realize that they're not allowed to tell you. Um, I don't know what the punishment would be, but what's on the other side is meant to stay there until we get there. I mean, we can predict, we can guess, dream about it, whatever. Witches believe in Summerland. Um, well, most witches do. Um, or going to walk forever with their god or goddesses. Um, it's everybody's own personal belief where you go, or what happens to you. I have fought really hard at times in my life to even have a faith at all. I don't know if it's the medical field that does it to you or what, but it's just kind of hard because you do so much psychic study. You know what I'm saying? You not psychic as an ESP, like you work on the psyche, and without a functional brain, nothing else would exist. So it can go into a long, drawn out, in depth thought if you let it. Especially when I study my books and blah blah blah. So it's once again a matter of faith. We just let them say what they had to. Yep, yep. Um, but and I'm not saying that necromancy is bad at all. Um, I remember something my grandma told me one time. I said, "Grandma, if you ever leave, come down and see me every once in a while." And she's like, "Why would I want to do that?" She said, "Why would I even want to come back down to this nasty earth?" You know, which kind of makes sense because her idea of heaven is beautiful and wonderful, and she doesn't ever have to look back down here on this, you know, hell, actually, especially nowadays. Heaven doesn't want me, and hell is afraid I'll take over. Carla. Yeah, if me and you both were down there, can you imagine? Woo! Katie, bar the door. But some believe that the spirits work through tarot. Yes. Yeah. That's why I'm saying when pendulum, etc., and the spirits help you, the tarot movement. Right, right. That's what I was saying. As witches, we all do necromancy in some shape or form. I mean, just because we don't go to a graveyard, I don't think any of us do. Some might do it and call themselves witches, but whatever. Um, I don't think we go to a graveyard and dig up a body and, you know, try to resurrect them. Yeah, that devil's got a restraining order on my blood, but Ooh, I love my witches. Yeah, Lady Blind Wolf, I got on here in time and get to talk to Carla too. Okay, anyway, let me get the rest of it out. That way I'll then I can chat. Also, um, I'm just gonna she asked me, I had a question about brownies, hobgoblins, etc., etc. Okay, this is another big, huge umbrella. Okay, there's all kinds of hobgoblins or goblins. Some don't even say hobgoblin. Your little elves, your gnomes, um, etc. You know what I'm talking about? All the little people. As the only way I know how to put them. I don't consider fairies in this group. They could be considered in the group. Some people do. Um, but I kind of like to think of fairies as a whole different realm, a whole different thing. But yeah, if you study up on them, some of these little creatures, little imps, whatever you want to call them, can be very, very mischievous and hateful. Um, the gnomes, they're usually more than often, more often than not, used for protection in a home, around the home. A lot of people put them in their gardens. And there's another thing. I wonder if they know why they do that, or if they just think they look cute in there. They just want to get that gnome and put it in their garden. And I wonder if they even know the background on it and why subconsciously they're putting that gnome in there. I don't know. I used to have one by my front door and back door, um, but I also have brooms hanging above my doors. So it all depends on how superstitious or into the craft or whatever you want to call it that you are. Um, yeah, but some of these the brownies, it's kind of weird that I was a brownie in school. You know, you have your brownies and your Girl Scouts. I was a brownie. Um, it's just the little things, the little synchronicities that if your mind is open enough, you're going to immediately latch onto this stuff, especially being a witch. It's just one of your talents. You can say, oh, that's where that came from. You catch the stuff. But as far as them being, yeah, you need whatever little person that you want to enlist to help you, protect you, whatever you believe in or want to do, you need to research it as you need to with anything. Your herbs you use, the research is on you to do. I mean, since we're all going to hell anyway, let him take me to court first. I ain't going to hell. Fairies can be annoying. They screw with my cats. Yeah, they can. And I will see both of my cats chasing the same thing, like they're right here in my kitchen floor, batting something around and playing, but there's nothing there. that I can see. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I got little fairies running around. But and I know damn well they're the ones that stole my spoons. Yes, 3 of my silver spoons. I mean, I kind of look at them as like my little children. All right, y'all behave, or I'm gonna ground you. But some of them little fairies can even be obnoxious. I'm going to hell. I'm going to Valhalla. Oh, Carla, she's a Viking. I'll tell you another little superstition. Uh, has anyone ever thought of Santa Claus as an elf? Has it ever occurred to you that Santa Claus, as we know him today, I mean, you picture him as a big tall guy with a big old belly. What say ye to thinking he was actually an elf? He might have been a bigger elf than the rest of them. I mean, where did he get all the other little elves that made his toys for him or helped him make the toys? Yeah. And he wears the same type of clothing little elves do, the shoes, you know. Um, and what's ironic is in the old times, the old beliefs, they would keep their fireplaces burning all night. Now, I'm sure a lot of it was because back then that's the only way they had of heat, to heat their abode. But a lot of them would do that so the little evil elves or hobgoblins couldn't come down the chimney because they believed that that's the way they entered the home. And they'd come in and open all your presents and destroy them and blah, blah, blah. When in reality, it was probably your own little kids that got up in the middle of the night, couldn't wait to open their presents and went through. That's kind of ironic that they thought that way, but the way it's morphed, what it's morphed into is Santa Claus himself coming down the chimney, right? So if you want Santa Claus to come down the chimney, you would not have a fire going in it, right? Riddick is all about food, sleep, and occasional attention. Maybe if you're lucky, a little bit of play. We joked that he was a pimp in a previous life. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've heard stories about him being basically the lead elf. Yeah. Well, it would make sense. I mean, how else would he be the leader of elves? They're pretty untouchable little creatures at times. Um, it's just I mean, you could go on forever and let your mind wander and think and analyze stuff. I mean, this is just a few of the things I thought I'd bring up. A lot of our beliefs, even to this day, came from um, ancient beliefs or superstitions or the reality of their world, how they were then. Because Mrs. Claude is the lead elf. Well, yeah, that goes without saying. Tell Santa Claus, get your fat ass up and go to work. Them kids need toys. Yeah. Awful cold place to live, though. The North Pole, damn. Ought to, ought to create a movie called Santa Claus in the Bahamas. You watch, now that I've said that, it'll get around somewhere to a director and we'll have that movie. It might be 10 years, but we'll have that movie. And another thing, what I wanted to say is, it doesn't really matter what I believe. I mean, I can tell you my opinion on things, but like I've always said, believe what you want. The magic is magic. You create your own magic. You create your own environment, your own world, your own reality. So whatever makes you happy. If you want to believe that this and that, now there are some that I will caution you about, like some of the little elves, or I call them all elves. I know they're not, but like the goblins, and um, even some of the little elves can be tacky. So, and fairies can be also. So, just enter with caution. But then there's the tires. St. Nicholas allegedly, Christmas was a great time to get ghost stories because it being a holy day and you were safe to do so. Oh yeah. Since I've gotten into Santa Muerte, I've been learning a lot about duendes and hadas. Yeah. Can you imagine dealing with all those elves? No, I can't, Carla. I'd have me a fly swatter out, that's for sure. Basically, Hispanic trolls and fairies and how they work with Santa Muerte. Yeah, yeah, and if you'll notice, like I said before, um, most and generally all the gods, goddesses are little, um, like the elves and stuff like that that come into play with Greek mythology. It's pretty much the same thing in any other pantheon. They're just called something different. The goddesses are called something different. The gods are different. But it's all pretty much the same thing. Do you get what I'm saying? They're all the same stories, the same correspondence. They're just called something different in each pantheon, in each uh, nationality or whatever you want to call it. I mean, like voodoo and hoodoo. I had a lady ask me about this one time about bringing the dead back to life. Well, first of all, they didn't. Um, there's been a lot of cases where someone thought someone was dead and they rose back up. You know, the very first case most people think of is Lazarus. When Jesus Christ raised Lazarus from the dead. Um, Nowadays, we know that people go into comas. You know, there's no telling when or if they'll wake up, which also leads to why um, people started putting bells on people's graves back in the old days because they realized that they were actually burying a lot of people alive. They might have been just knocked out or had a severe case of bradycardia, which is where your heart rate just uh, slows way down to nothing. Um, Maybe they didn't know very well how to check for a pulse. And so if someone was laying there in a coma, they just assumed they were dead. You see what I'm saying? And they buried them. Well, these people would wake up and they're in the grave. So they had a lot of, uh, had this little thing brought up. They put the bell on the grave and it ran all the way down into the coffin. The string did. And if that person woke up, they could pull that string and ring that bell. Hence, the graveyard shift came about. People that work overnight, nowadays, we still call it the graveyard shift. But that's where it came from. People were hired to sit in these graveyards and listen for bells to go off to get these people out of them graves because they were still alive. Uh, Maybe he can put Frosty in a spell jar to keep him safe, and Rudolph can become the head of PETA. Lady Blonde oh my girl. Okay, who is hiding in the rafters? We have 4 people in here. Come out and play. Oh, I think some people just get on and watch me. They don't know what to say. No matter. I guess in Mexican culture, they don't feel that way. I mean, yeah, I see a lot of correlation between Hecate and Santa Muerte, but apparently you have to work with them separate. You can't work with them together. There's Aiden. Yeah, that's true, Lady Blind Wolf. But it also comes down, that's another video I done. People believe that if you work with one goddess or one pantheon, that you cannot work with another one. You can't work out of your pantheon. Well, first of all, don't tell me I can't do something. This is witchcraft. There's no end to the possibilities. And in the long run, you may be calling on the same goddess, just a different name. Back to what I said before. It may be the same one. They just know them different in different nationalities. Took me 5 minutes just to get into the chat because of my stupid phone. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad I'm worth the trouble. With them together, and their altars have to be separated, but Santa Muerte can work with male gods. Yeah. And I've worked with other gods and goddesses. Well, I mainly work with goddesses. But I've had Hecate stand by while I am working with Bridget, per se, or Athena. I mean, just because I like her there. I mean, and sometimes I feel like I'm kind of giving her a break because I'm always calling on her. Oh, just no other goddesses. Well, what I've always learned and what I've learned on my own, Hecate she's not a jealous goddess. She knows who she is. She's not. She knows she's my main mama. I was going to say I don't think necromancy and spirit work is the same thing. Necromancy implies I'm trying to force a spirit to do something, and that's not what I do. Right. And yeah, you can separate it that way. Necromancy is when you are literally, well, and this would be the medical definition of it. When you're taking a deceased body and you are trying to resurrect it after it's already been gone. Like Frankenstein, for instance, he got all the electricity out, which was kind of a good idea because our brain and our bodies the whole body runs by electric impulses delivered by the heart, the brain. Everything's correlating and coinciding with each other to form one thing here, one body, one workshop, if you want to call it. But they have grave robbers too. Oh yeah, yeah, of course. Now I'm not going to sit here and say that I have not seen and heard of people come back from the dead. I did. Usually it's from some sort of intervention. If somebody flatlines from a heart attack like I did, they pounded on me until my heart started beating again, hence brought me back to life. The electric shocks, from the paddles. Once again, electricity. Where do you think they probably got that? They got the idea from Frankenstein, I'm sure, in some shape, form, or fashion, because he used electricity to try to regenerate the motions and the human body. which was not in and of itself a bad idea when you consider what an AED does, an adult electronic defibrillator. When they put the paddles on you, that's what it is. It's electricity. But yeah, there's grave robbers, but they're not interested in the body or anything like that. They're interested in what was buried with them. Because especially in older times, and still to this day in some cultures, they get buried with a lot of different stuff, jewelry, a lot of things that were worth money that these grave robbers could go in there and just steal. You know, I mean, look at the pyramids when the pharaohs were buried. Look at all the entourage that was buried with them, including their slaves. Their slaves were killed to go into the afterlife with them. Because young men, students couldn't afford cadavers, so they would steal them from it. Yeah. Yeah, but I think a lot of that, most of the time, was just to see what was inside the human body, what the heart looked like, what the lungs looked like. I'm sure there was facetiousness involved in a lot of it. There always is, but I think the original idea was, you know, and I think this is also before they came up with autopsies. Can't talk tonight. Because nowadays, when you die, more than not, they're going to perform an autopsy. Unless, I guess, if you're 99 years old, well, probably everything went wrong. So why bother cutting them open and doing all that? Just bury them. But more than likely, you're gonna get an autopsy done, unless you specifically state in a living will that you don't want one done. And then they still might override you if it's, you know, suspicious death or something like that. Where am I at? It's just like what you and I were talking about with Ganesh. My daughter wants Ganesh on the altar with Santa Muerte. Santa Muerte was all about justice, and Ganesh was actually killed unjustly. Yeah, well, he brought back to life with an elephant's head. Huh. See, I'm not up to the Hindu belief or Indian, whichever. I actually have a bag with Ganesh on it, though, that I carry my prosperity stones in. And that's what the intention was set for it. But, and I used to have a little statue of her. My mother loves elephants. She collects them and eagles. So a lot of times I'll send her stuff, like that. But I always, if I'm gonna, like I said, I usually work with Hecate, but um, more than not, I mean, I very rarely work with. I have other goddesses that I honor um, and work with at times, but mainly it's Hecate. And when I do work with another one, I will set up a whole nother altar to them. I don't have them on the same altar. Because to me, that's kind of disrespectful to Hecate. That's her altar, that's her space. And I just don't put anything else on there. My mom collected elephants too. Yeah. Yeah, my mother loves them. But yeah, a lot of these things in a book that y'all can read, and you may have already read it, but those of you that haven't, that watch this later, you can read Homer's Odyssey, and it's about Odysseus and all his journeys, and it's really interesting. And there's a movie out about it too. Of course, I think I have every um, mythological movie was ever made. If not, I'm working on it. I just love mythology. I always have and I always will. And a lot of it, as I said, you know, rings true even to our modern society. And we still use a lot of the ways the old ancient Greeks believed. Got to turn off my oven. Yeah, I made a roast and mashed potatoes and a mixture of corn and peas for dinner tonight. So I haven't done my dishes. Yeah. I know I'm gonna have to do something soon though. I'm getting really tired of being in this house all the time. I mean, that's honestly a lot of the reasons I haven't on here because number one, I can't ever think of anything new to say. Um, unless somebody emails me about something, but I've just been blah, bored, but spring's coming around, and that's my favorite time of year, so that'll be good. That'll wake me up. And I got to start working on this belly. I can't believe how fat I've gotten. What happens when you just sit around and eat cheesecake? But my issue is I was always so skinny. I mean, my whole life, tiny, tiny, skinny, skinny. And then all of a sudden, poof, you know, at damn middle age. My internet is being buggy from the high winds that we're having tonight. I'm going to say goodnight. Okay, good night, Carla. I'm glad I got to talk to you. Allegedly, he was in charge of guarding the princess in the harem, and someone had gotten into the princess, but the princess was in fact in love with Ganesh. Oh, so was Ganesh originally a god, or was he at one time human and then turned into a god? Or, I mean, like I said, that is one thing I'm not familiar with is Hinduism or anything like that. The Indian way, that Indian, not American, the Hindu Indians and stuff like that. So the king had Ganesh murdered even though he was not even on duty that night. Oh, okay, so he was human. King had his head cut off. He's supposed to be the one that removes. Yeah, yeah. I knew what he did, but I didn't know the story behind it. It's pretty interesting. See, you learn something every day. I just never was interested in that pantheon, so I just never. Mine was mainly my first and foremost, as everyone knows, is Greek, and I have studied the Egyptian pantheon a while. In fact, I did my thesis in college on Egyptian culture, which is actually um, an extremely amazing thing. I mean, you just have to study up on them. The ancient Egyptians were just smart as hell, very intuitive, creative. Um, they were just, I mean, they figured out irrigation. Irrigation came from them. Beer came from them. It's just amazing what we have today that the Egyptians invented and brought to be. I sent you an invite to something on Facebook. Check it out later. I think you'll be able to make it. Okay. I'll do my best, sweetie. But as far as any of the other ones, I mean, I really just since I have been getting on here and speaking with some of y'all, I've learned from what y'all tell me. Yeah, I've really been drawn to Sekhmet. And I learned that every time you feed a stray cat, you're actually giving her an offering. Yeah, I use Sekhmet or Bastet. I believe that they're pretty much the same, one and the same. Um, or Bast. Some people call her Bast. Sometimes I'll say Bast. Sometimes I'll say Bastet. Um, Bastet gives her more of a feminine address, because of the et on it. Even today we use that too, like you call a male George, you call a female Georgette. Get what I'm trying to say. So a lot of times I'll just say Bastet. But I have always been around her because of my cats. I love my cats and I've always had cats. Yeah, I've really been. Well, she must really love me because I take care of every cat I find, or I try to. Hence the cat lady. Even my kids and, you know, ex-husbands and everything else would call me the cat lady because I love my cats very, very much. And I'm afraid I would really severely hurt somebody if they hurt one of my cats. And I don't care who it would be. So, ow. But yeah, if you all look up some of this stuff, it's just really neat. And there's just literally millions of it. You too? Yeah. And I think that I'm just looking over this to make sure that I didn't have anything written down specifically that yeah, I had put down that necromancy is also called necromantia, depending on which necromantia means magic with a dead body, is exactly what it translates to. But in other cultures, it's also called necria or anekia. And I believe the neck means life, and ia in medical terminology means condition, and a means without. Um, so if you break that word down, it would mean without life. A condition without life is what anekia would translate to from medical terminology. So anyway, I was even going to include a rainbow bridge on my altar. Oh yeah. See, and that just scares me so bad. My Jesse, I'm not really sure how old he is. I can guesstimate. I know how long I've had him, and he was full grown when I got him. Um, I can usually tell by their fur, their eyes, stuff like that. But I just don't even want to think about my babies going away. I mean, I've lost a lot of animals in my time. Some of it not, by my choice, or some I just made mistakes. But some do work with animal bones. Oh yeah, we used animals that had died of natural causes. Yeah. I don't know if Lady Grave Dancer is still on here or not. I know she made an appearance back for did a few videos, but I don't think she's as into doing the videos like she was before. But I mean, she'd be driving down the road and see something she thought she could use and get out and pick it up. I don't think I could do that. I'd be more sitting there crying over the damn thing, you know. I don't know. I just now I might use them for certain workings if they were already if I didn't have to see the whole animal together. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just the type of person, I truly am extremely sensitive and tenderhearted when it comes to animals. I mean, really bad to almost a fault. I just I just don't think I could do it. I could not pick up roadkill or do something like that. I couldn't. I don't even know that. I'm not going to say I couldn't be a taxidermist because to me that'd be like preserving the animal. But I remember my dad growing up. He had a badger that was taxidermied, and I remember just feeling so sorry for that badger. Yeah. Well, I know that they had moved, and she may be preoccupied with that. Yeah. Now, like like I said, if I run across a bone out there somewhere, but I mean, you don't ever know what kind of bone you're working with unless you know a whole lot about bones. Yeah, and I had thought at one time about getting some chicken feet from a witch that I watch, um, or making my own, whatever. Um, that originated from voodoo or hoodoo, um, which is neither here nor there. I'm just saying I had never learned about that. I mean, I had heard different things, but um, in my practice, I have never ever used chicken feet. Now, I do remember one time also when I was young going and checking the mail, and there was a bird foot in our mailbox. And of course, at that time, I had no idea what that meant. And I don't even know what kind of bird it was. It was some sort of long, it may have been a rooster foot. I don't know. Crow's foot. I don't know. I don't know if somebody's mad at my mama or what, but try and grab some when we were at the store. You do have a dehydrator? See, I think that's the main reason um, I wouldn't try to do that because I don't have a dehydrator. I'd have to hang them up somewhere and let them dry on their own, and and then you take the chance of them rotting, and which they will. But I've got cats. Once again, they would love to tear them down and play with them and chew on them. I could just see it happening. I'd have chicken feet all over my house. I was going to try to. There's several witches. I mean, I know you want to make your own. Most of us can make our own stuff. We know that. But I think a lot of times we too. We also will get stuff just to help support the other witches in their crafts or what they do. I just do not honestly have the money right now to be going and doing that stuff because I would love to help every witch that I could, but I just unfortunately am not a rich person, you know. So I can't help as much as I'd like or support them as much as I'd like to. But I like doing the arts and crafts too. And now that I'm older and I have more time, my life's slowed down a whole lot. Sometimes I think too much, but like making that witch's ladder, I never thought about sitting down and doing one of them. I was just too busy. I mean, I did my craft, but it wasn't. I've never been a crafter. I'll put it that way. And like, you know how a lot of people do their books of shadows. Like I watched this one lady on YouTube, and when she's putting some in her books of shadows, she draws pictures and blah 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 and all that stuff. And I've just never done that. My book of shadows is pretty sloppy compared to most. I hurry up, I jot something down, and then it's done. I don't draw pictures. I don't get a ruler and draw lines on there to make sure it's all straight. And that's really odd that I don't do that, simply because I am such a perfectionist and an OCD type person that I'm surprised I don't do that. But for some reason in my book of shadows, it doesn't bother me. Well, the Lady Grave Dancer and Sunshine Morning Ray would make them, but they would also do turkey feet. Yeah, yeah, and the Blue Witch was making some here a while back and offering to make them for people, to sell them. Yeah, they can be a pretty penny depending on what you want. Yeah. Well, and that's good. I mean, if you want to try that, go for it. I mean, I that's not something I would want to do. I would buy some, like I said, just help support another witch when and if I ever get any more money again. Because now I owe the damn IRS and state taxes. So I don't know. But it would be something kind of fun to do, I guess. Something I've never done. But the part for me would be to dry them out, and I couldn't even hang them out here on my patio because I have birds out there that I feed, and they would be gone. And it'd be kind of morbid to hang, bird feet out there where all my birds roost and have their babies every spring. So I don't know. I try to think of things to keep me busy around here because I honestly do get tired of cleaning and laundry and blah blah blah. But like I said, the weather's getting better and I'll be able to go out with my cauldron again and sit on my patio and be able to actually go outside and put my feet on the ground barefooted and ground myself again. Wintertime is just, first of all, it's always been an extremely hard time for me. And I've never pinpointed why. I don't know why. But I've just, no wonder they call them the dark days. It's not just because there's no sunlight, but when there's no sunlight, a lot of us are affected. That's why they come up with a seasonal affective disorder. You know, and for years they didn't believe that existed. They're like, "Oh, bull! It's all in their heads." Well, it might be. Of course, it's in their head. It's a condition. But I'm just not a winter person. Not that I hate winter, just like winter. I know it has to be. It has its purpose, like every other season. But I've just never been a winter person. I'm more spring. I like spring. I like the thunder, the lightning, and watching the tornadoes and um, all that. And then it's summer, then it's fall, and then it's winter. And winter's my least favorite. And it would be different, if I could keep myself busy in the house, but you can only do that for so long before you just get tired of being in the house. And when you have to go out somewhere, it's just a pain in the butt to get ready to go out. You put 7 layers of clothes on, warm your car up for an hour, depending on, of course I'm ad libbing, but you know what I mean. Everything's just hibernating, asleep. I don't know. But I do try to keep myself busy. So I haven't even done anything on my altar in a while, so I need to get back at that. I know one thing, I am not the kind of person that enjoys the bar scene. I just have no interest in it. Yeah, I went for years, you know, hang out at the bars, mainly out of boredom and just to be around other people because for so long I just lived by myself. And I just wanted, even if I didn't talk to other people, I was around them. You know what I mean? Wasn't just sitting there by myself. But I realized pretty quickly that some of them people I didn't care to be around. Actually, I think that they have lots for that. I mean, people use them for plants in the winter. Yeah, they do. Yeah, I've heard about them. Um, or and they also have sunglasses for people that are the opposite. I can imagine being the opposite. Because when I go out in the sun, I have to. I can't see. I dislike the rays or summer or whatever. It's just can't see. So, but yeah, if y'all want to look up some of these things that I was talking about earlier, put them in the comments. Tell me what you find. And I mean, I'm telling you, there's thousands of them. That's why I just gave a few examples. Um, Even a lot of our diseases came from people's names back in the Greek times. Gay bars are even worse because men feel like they have the right to put their hands on you, and it just makes men powerful. Yeah, well, a lot of times that's the same in any bar, sweetheart. Especially if you're a female, men come out and paw all over you, and especially if they're really good and drunk, they're falling all over you, and it's actually pretty disgusting. It's like, dude, handle your liquor better. Yeah. Or a lot of times, they'll think just because a girl goes out that that's what she's looking for to get laid or, a man for whatever reason. And a lot of times it's just like me. I just want out of the damn house. I'm not there to pick anybody up, you know. Just want a different scenery and listen to music for a while. Get a buzz. And of course, there are women that go out for just specifically that type of thing. To each their own, whatever. But that's not why I go. I like to go just for something to do, and um, I don't do it very often, very rarely anymore. It's just not my thing anymore. I don't know if it came with age or what, but it's really the same old shit, like a meat market or there's a fight or the cops are raiding it because somebody did something or it's just, people think it's easy to make friends as an adult, but I honestly don't think that's true. I don't either. And mainly because as adults we've already been through this thing, and a lot of us have some pretty bad memories of so-called friends, so we're even more leery about accepting them as friends in the first place you know so I don't know. I've never been one that had to have friends or people around me all the time, and I've known people like that, and it just never has bothered me. I mean, I enjoy my friends and acquaintances and talking with people and going out and doing things with someone, but I don't get um, beside myself, depressed if I don't have anybody. I go and do things on my own. And that way too, I'm not responsible for anybody else. If I go to the casino, I don't want anybody riding with me or going. If they can go with me, but they take their own damn vehicle or a bar, anywhere I'm going, because when I get ready to leave, I'll leave. If you're not ready, I'll leave your ass there. And vice versa. If you get ready to leave and I'm not, I want you to be able to leave. So come with your own transportation. Either that or we have a set standard. Okay, we're going together, we're going to leave together, you know. And then you also got to watch out for them, you know, especially if it's two half decent looking girls walking in a bar. You know, you not only have to worry about people hitting on you, unwanted attention, I'll just put it that way, but you got to worry about trying to protect your friend. Are you walking there and some chick's boyfriend or husband looks at you, you know, a little too long and there's a damn fight. You didn't even do anything, but she wants to beat the shit out of you just because her husband looked at you, you know? Personally, I don't think I'd ever go to a bar with any female friends ever again. It's never ended well. Well, I can't honestly remember the last time I went out with anyone. Honestly, I really do not remember any time I went anywhere with anyone. Usually, if I go, it's by myself. And that doesn't matter where it is, Walmart, uh, the casino, the bar, shopping. I usually just up and go by myself. I try to do things with my daughter, but she's the type that's okay, yeah, mom, we can do this and we can do that. And she doesn't ever hold up to her in the bargain, and she always cancels on me at the last minute. So I just gave up even trying to do anything with her. I mean, both my kids are grown, they have their own lives and do what they want, you know. Now my son's more apt to hang around his mama than my daughter. You know what I mean? He's just that way, but and we don't really have anything a whole lot in common as far as going out and doing anything like that. And then there comes too that I want when I go out, I want to relax. I don't want to have to watch what's going on around me. I don't want to have to, you know, take up for somebody that's with me. And if, of course, in a bar, you know, it could be trouble at the drop of a hat. And I just can't even imagine what I'd do if somebody started messing with one of my kids. So it's just better for me not to go to the bar with them. But anyway, that's why I wish that I had witches around me, you know, around in this area so we could, like I said, not necessarily have a coven per se, but, you know, one time a month even to where we could all get together and just hang out, talk, you know, like at a house or in a yard somewhere or at a park even, out in the country, you know, just kind of get together and have some fun, talk about spells and things we know about and we have in common. I don't know. I don't know. But um, the very few witches that I ran into in my life that or called themselves witches, I'll put it that way, that I just did not like. And most of them I knew right off the bat that I wouldn't like them, that there was just something off. There's been a few that I went ahead and gave a shot, like, okay, I feel something weird, but we'll see where this leads. And sure enough, my intuition was very correct. Um, I don't know. Personally, I don't think. Uh, well, I might go to the store with my kid and my kid's girlfriend. My daughter will go in the witchy shop with me at a Christmas shop. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, uh, I can't see my daughter doing any of that with me. Now she's kind of opened her mind up to my way of life now. I'm not saying she fully understands it, but she's not as, oh mom, you're going to hell, like she was when she first found out. Because I didn't tell my kids for a long time, you know, just simply because I didn't want to have to argue with them. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to have to explain myself, you know. I really wanted to teach them, and because there's so many benefits to the craft. It's not just casting spells. I mean, it's everything. It's a way to deal with stress. We have things that we do for that. Uh, Anxiety disorders, um, how you deal with your everyday life, just how you function as a human being every day of your life. And if they weren't associated with witchcraft, people would think they were glorious ideas. But since they come along with the witchcraft theme, they're not such a good idea. When in reality, we use things that scientists and psychologists and psychiatric people are starting to use to this day. They're just now figuring out about it, and we've known about it for centuries. So, like our meditations, the and even if I don't actually per se sit there home and meditate, I do have my meditation guides that I go to sleep with sometimes. If I've had a really bad day or I don't feel good, if I know that my aura is just really gray or even black, then it's time for me to turn my attention to myself, and I don't care what anybody else thinks. Yeah, we were about joining life and finding pleasure in the small things and appreciate the cycles and exactly kind of going with the flow of things, when most people just butt heads with it and to no avail. It's acceptance in its truest form. Beats being a tape you all day long because in some cases that's what you're expected to do. I get so damn tired of a certain religion trying to scare you into believing what they believe. But another thing is though, our way it just costs a lot less money, and that would take money from the medical professions too. Oh yeah. Well, look at pharmacology. I mean, seriously, that was my main goal. What I always wanted to do was be a pharmacist. And I don't know if it came unknowingly stemming from me being a witch, or I guess it did because the herbs and turning them into medicine always intrigued me. So what better way to make money, doing something that you enjoy doing and that you were interested in learning. And of course, I never did that, of course, like a dumbass. But yeah. And two, though, and like I would say, you've got to do research. Just because a witch says, go take this, it's going to heal this, that you can't always take that for the honest truth, unfortunately. And it may have worked for that witch or her family, but it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. It doesn't mean that you're going to have not going to have an allergic reaction. Some of these herbs can be, in certain dosages, extremely poisonous, toxic. You know, you just really have to research them. And in pharmacology, they'll mix this, a little bit of this with a lot of this. It's kind of like in the drug world when, people say, I had some pure cocaine. No, you didn't. Guarantee you didn't have any pure cocaine, or you're going to be sitting here telling me about it. It's cut with something. You know what I'm saying? It has to be cut. Human being could withstand pure cocaine up their nose. It wouldn't happen. You'd OD in an instant. Same with these other herbs. They may take a tiny bit of something that's extremely potent. I'm not going to say toxic, but extremely potent, and then they'll mix it with other things to calm that down or to counterreact a lot of the adverse reactions of that one herb. Same as in medicine, whether it's created in nature or created in a lab, most of it is mixed. It's like you don't take pure um, uh, acetaminophen by itself. It's usually cut with Tylenol or mixed with Tylenol. All kinds of our normal everyday drugs, they've usually got something else mixed with them to counteract whatever may be going on with the other drug. You see what I'm trying to get at? And I'll shut up now because that's the medication nurse coming out of me. Another thing is, though, is our way, yeah. Well, and that's why a lot of people have left the pharmaceutical way of life and started going back to the old ways, making their own medicines, and that's fine if it's something that is lightweight or something that's not how do I put it? Something that's not dangerous. I'll just put it plainly. Um, there's a lot of conditions that you can cure with just the right foods, rest, um, the ease of stress, um, sunshine. We all know that people with jaundice, you sit out in the sunshine, and it gets your bilirubin levels back up. But when it comes to cancers, um, the the psychological disorders, no, I don't think you ought to be self-medicating. I mean, you can do things on the side to ease your way, take care of your mind, which would be meditation, whatever. But if you do, as I always say, if you do, like even certain teas, you have to know what's in them and what kind of medication that you're on or condition you might have, because some of these teas are made with herbs that will counteract your medications or knock them out completely, or they may mix with them and become not necessarily deadly to you, but the combination of them together in your body isn't a good idea. For whatever reason, it could cause anaphylaxis, or it could cause you to have um, delusions, or whatever may occur. You don't, before you mix any of that together, you know, tell your doctor first, see what he says, and then research it on your own. If you drink mugwort tea, there's a lot of things mugwort interferes with in the pharmaceutical community if you're on um, prescribed medication. So your health and your well-being is your own responsibility in the long run. If you're not sure, don't just take somebody's, not even my word, um, as at face value. Research those herbs and your conditions and make sure that they're not going to fight each other. I'll put it that way, and throw your body into worse shape than it's already in. An antibiotic. Some of these herbs will knock out your antibiotic. It'll be rendered useless. So you're taking that for nothing. Like drinking alcohol. Alcohol will knock out an antibiotic. Most 99.9% of them, if it don't make you extremely ill. So you just have to research what combinations you're putting in your own body. And I have always said that. Even when I was doing my herbs, telling y'all about certain herbs, research them especially before you ingest them. But I guess I'm gonna get off here because I'm gonna eat some dinner and I'm getting sleepy. So I will chat with y'all later. Thank you for joining me. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye.